This episode was brought to you by the Inland Empire Small Business Development Center, the region's premier provider of business consulting and training services for the existing and aspiring business owner, serving Riverside and San Bernardino counties. The SBDC mission is to help you build a better business.
Hello and welcome to SoCal CEO. My name is Katie Darling. Today we're here with Vincent McCoy, Director of the Inland Empire Small Business Development Center, and he's going to share with us some of their successes in helping local small businesses. So Vincent, what type of challenges are facing local small businesses and what types of assistance do they typically need?
One of the biggest sets of challenges have to do with capital, access to capital, and shrinking markets. More and more of our small businesses in this region have found that the customers they've relied on for years are no longer buying at the same levels they were buying at before. And the impact of that is on their financial statements. So their financials don't look as strong as they did. So therefore, when they go to banks looking for financing, whether it be lines of credit or other financing for their businesses, they can't get the money they need to either sustain or grow their businesses.
What are some of the challenges and obstacles your clients face in starting and growing their businesses?
In this current market, one of the biggest ones is the lack of equity or the loss of equity. If you look at it from the standpoint that business owners either own their own homes or their own business building or both, and with the collapse, the value of those has declined so that they no longer can rely on those as either places to good equity loans or to capitalize their businesses using those as leverage. So that has been one of the biggest problems we've seen. And then you take that back with this drop in sales, the fact that consumers don't buy as much as they used to, or if they do buy, they buy at lower cost items. Those are the two biggest impacts we've seen in this region. And probably the third one is the perspective from outside. The perspective from outside is that the Inland Empire is, as one described, part of a black triangle. If you're doing commercial investing, you don't want to invest in Las Vegas, Phoenix, or the Inland Empire because you can't trust the values of the underlying real estate. So those things are the keys that are affecting, create greatest challenges for local businesses.
So what are the challenges that you see for business in the future, and how can the Small Business Development Center help them?
We are asking or encouraging business owners to reinvent themselves. Look at new markets for your product or service. Reinvent the way that you do things. This is a great time because right now you can get labor cheap. You can find that high quality people have lost jobs in other businesses that you may be able to attract. So you can bring in new people at probably a lower cost. And to reinvest. Look at your processes, look at what you're doing, and find ways to do them smarter, more efficient, and better so that when things do turn around, your company, your organization is poised to capitalize on that. And the other thing we ask them to do is don't forget the basics. Keep marketing. Keep reaching out to your customers. Keep providing high quality service. Don't cut back on those important things that made you successful in this time when others might, because the ones who continue to do that are going to do better than the ones that stop.
How many centers do you have, and how big is the area that you serve?
Our service territory is both Riverside and San Bernardino counties from border to border. Most of our clients tend to be more toward the center of both of those counties, but we have offices in Palm Springs, Riverside, Victorville, and in San Bernardino in order to reach that client, that territory. And we also have 9 outreach locations, which means we use someone else's facility at least one day a week to deliver services. So those go from Big Bear to San Jacinto to Moreno Valley to Chino and Rancho Cucamonga, to name a few.
What would you say to someone considering starting a business here in the Inland Empire?
Spend a lot more time on the market research. Be more certain than you ever have been before about one. Does the market exist for the product or service that I'm offering? Don't go into it thinking, oh, I've got a great idea, people will flock to my doors and they'll buy whatever I have to sell. That's not going to work. So you want to make sure that your market research is really ironclad before you go into any business venture. We see lots of people who start businesses and then They open their door and say, we're the customer. Know where the customers are before you start. That's a key thing. The other is to recognize that the financing that you might think is available is probably not going to be there. So you have to figure on bootstrapping it or coming up with your own capital or finding some way to grow it organically, because going to the lending community and expecting them to open their pocketbooks and give you dollars is not realistic.
What are some of the key areas in which you serve small businesses?
About 80% of our clients that we serve are looking to develop strategies or business plans that help them establish a business or grow a business, or to secure some sort of financing or support for that effort. And I would say the other 20% are more specialized. Those businesses are looking to expand into government contracts. They're looking to do things in an international trade market. They're looking to shore up their financial performance, or at least their record keeping, by learning more about how to use QuickBooks or other financial accounting tools to make their businesses' performance shine in the eyes of the banking community.
So how do you go about connecting local businesses with resources similar to what you did with BMW Motorcycles of Riverside?
The way we work with them is we look at what they're doing, and then we use our experience and our relationship with the other resource partners, and we understand the profiles of both sides. With Dan, for example, we understood what his needs were, and we looked at banks and other organizations that are willing to pitch in or receptive to what he's trying to do. What we know from our experience is that there are only a certain number of lenders who will do things like flooring, which is important for a motorcycle dealer. You need someone who's going to underwrite the cost of putting product on the floor. So we find people who are willing to do that. Another way that we connect them is when we look at the cities or the counties in which they operate, we have lots of relationships with those organizations, and we can bring whatever incentives they may have, or facade improvements, or business improvement programs that they have, which can help a business improve the look and feel of its business, especially if it's in a redevelopment area.
How many businesses do you serve on an annual basis?
The way we count it is two ways. The number of businesses that we meet on one-on-one confidential consulting. So that business brings us a project or an opportunity, and we work just with that business. In that scenario, we see about 1,500 businesses a year. The other way that we reach out and work with businesses is through training. We conduct about 150 to 200 workshops in a year, and in that scenario, we may see anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 business owners.
Can you tell me about some of your success stories?
Certainly. There's one in Riverside. She operates a fitness studio, and she was looking to determine whether or not she should buy a building for her expansion or whether or not she can continue with her existing one. And one of her challenges was that her financials were not in good shape. So our QuickBooks certified QuickBooks Pro advisor went out and met with her, got her financials in order, and more importantly, he analyzed her opportunity. He looked at the project where she was. He looked at the project she was looking to buy. And in doing that comparison, he found that it would be more profitable to her to go back to her existing landlord and say, I'd like to stay here, but I need to expand. And in that conversation, the landlord said, this is great. This is what I want. And because she had a plan, he was able to embrace it, and now she's expanded her business, and she didn't have to move. So that was a very good success for her.
So Vincent, are you excited about the future of business here in the Inland Empire?
I am excited. The fundamental reason why I'm excited is that I compare results year to year. In 2009 was a horrible year in the Inland Empire. Our businesses were unable to get money, they were unable to create jobs, and they were generally discouraged. What we saw, especially in the last half of 2010, was that our business owners created 200 more jobs than they did the previous year. We saw 26% more people come through the door looking to start businesses. So that's a sign of optimism. And the last thing is that they were able to increase their sales by about $6 million more in 2010 than they were in 2009. So if that type of progress or optimism continues, we expect that 2011 will be better, and we hope that that builds on 2012.
It's amazing how many services are offered by the Inland Empire Small Business Development Center to help existing and aspiring businesses. Thank you for joining us. My name is Katie Darling with SoCal CEO.
This episode was brought to you by the Inland Empire Small Business Development Center, the region's premier provider of business consulting and training services for the existing and aspiring business owner, serving Riverside and San Bernardino counties. The SBDC mission is to help you build a better business.